Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. I just recently did a top 10 things I'm not a fan of, and because I'm a nice guy and I generally don't like to be negative unless you really make me, I decided it's only fair to put my mouth where my money is and do the opposite and do a top things that I am a fan of in the industry because I think it's only fair, right? Like, the whole sandwich theory, say something good, something negative, something good, anyway. And so we're going to do that now. I'm just going to get into it and say these are things that I am a fan of in board gaming. No, and in no particular order, and this is by no means complete. The one thing is history. I love any game that tries to imbue history in it, not necessarily teach it to me or browbeat me with history, but mostly imbue history or create a game based on history that really tries to bring history alive. I'm a huge history fan. I love history. Can I use history more than 5 times in a paragraph? I will try. And so anything that deals with history is a thing that I'm a fan of. Next is active designers. I absolutely love. I will always steer towards buying a game if I'm on the fence, if I know that that designer is there for me. Even if the game isn't very good or has a bunch of problems, an active designer who's actively trying to help people with it is gold to me. I mean, what other industry can you go to? You can be like, hey, Spielberg, what's up with that ET thing? No, I mean, this is an industry where you have such a close degree of connection between designers. And so, big fan of that. I notice them when they're missing. And so someday I'll do maybe a top honor roll of all the best and most active designers. That might be a great list too. 3, I'm a big fan of dual layered boards that don't warp. I have seen it pulled off a couple times where someone's able to do this, but I love dual layered board. I love that feeling that stuff can be set in its place and not easily dislodged. Like a tombstone in the forest. Yeah. But I love it. I don't like when they warp. 90% of the boards I get eventually warp and I have to redo the backs to make them not warp. But hey, that's okay. That's, yeah. Forewarped is forearmed. Anyway, number 4, in no particular order. I don't know why I ordered that. Specific and non-trivial examples in rule books. When I see a rule book and I see someone wait to give the example until they've gone through all the rules and then find one of the more complex situations and walk me through it, I feel like I'm in good hands because people are taking the time to not just go, here's the simplest example and all the complexities just hit the forums for. And so I love that. I really do think that's great. Really weird board game themes that actually get pulled off well. Probably one of the weirdest ones is Cosmic Frog, a game that I've kind of grown tired of, but I can't deny that it has one of the weirdest, most bizarre premises that you'll find, and that's just one example of several different games that just have a bizarre premise, and because they pull it off reasonably well, I always go after the weird. I love the weird stuff. So, mini perks. I like games. I just did a review of Great Western Trail, which is an iconic example, literally and metaphorically, of games that give you little bonuses along the way as you play it. I really like that. I think that goes a long way for me. It feeds into my sort of Paper Mario or other games where you always have this little boost, this little next boost, or Civilization, where you always have this little 2 more turns till you're done researching this or building that or doing that. I love that. I think that's a great. I don't think that'll ever get old with me. Story as game rather than story as preface. That's a little murky, but I like it when games go through and you learn the story over the course of playing it rather than having you give this long initial, and this is in video games too, long initial sort of like blathering, and then you're left off in this thing and you're like, okay, I kind of get the correlation. But if you can take a story like Isofarian Guard, Stars of Icarios, what's that one? Forbidden Waters. Stuff where you're telling a story over time. It doesn't even have to be like a campaign game. It can be something where you're just going, okay, play it, yeah, like you get it. Story is game rather than game is story, rather than game as fronting of story. So, and then 10, anything from Christian Marcuson. I love Merchants and Marauders. I love Clash of Cultures. I buy every version of it. I'm excited for the rumor that there might be an upgraded Merchants and Marauders. He hasn't done anything new in a long time. And so, get on it, dude. Mounted boards, we already kind of talked about that with dual layered boards, but I prefer mounted boards to paper boards in almost every situation because I just think it just feels better. It just feels more elegant and more solid to me than trying to pull out a map and put a glass sheet on it. Little less, shuffling of chits and stuff. Some exceptions. There are certain games that have little sheets that aren't necessarily flat out paper but are kind of like cardboardy, but because they allow variety, I prefer them. But yeah, give me a mounted board any day of the week. And yes, I've had people just literally crucify me because I dared to suggest that mounted boards were better than paper maps, and if only I'd grown up back in the 30s or whatever. But yeah, you go kids. I'm going to be happy with mounted maps, and I'm going to advocate for them. IWitness or vested interest feedback. I really, really like. One of my favorite things on this channel, and particularly with, that's so many things I like about this channel when it comes to the audience of people that contribute to it. It's just amazing. It's just kind of a nice little hole in the wall in an otherwise pretty caustic internet. But I love IWitness or vested interest feedback. By that I mean, we just had a coin game come out that dealt with the Philippines in a given time frame. I just had a long-time viewer who was able to run it through its paces, living in the moment, being able to kind of tell me what a person in the Philippines who has this game about them, and is in that period can kind of tell me about it. I love that. I've had people kind of talk about places they were just recently at, that dealt with a game like Border Reavers and stuff. Oh, I love those. I just love being in the moment. I will Google map pretty much anybody anywhere that's talking about something where I can go back and get, again, history and going on it. So killer me into that. Anyway, anything with Bob Ross or The Princess Bride, I will buy, and 90% of those games stink. But for some reason, Bob Ross or Princess Bride or The Tick, which nobody's still done a good game of, come on, man, Spoon, is up my alley. Another kind of thing that I enjoy, a thing that I'm a fan of, is I love games that don't have time pressure when you're trying to explore. I really get stressed. It's sort of like when you're like, okay, you get to Disneyland and you're like, okay, we got 90 minutes. Go see everything you can. That's not fun for me. Over the years, I'm like, I get it. As a teenager, I do that because I had to get back to work the next day or whatever. But man, I want to meander. I want to see the sights and stuff. And so any game that has too rigid and strict of a timer as you're trying to explore and enjoy it, I don't like. But I like ones that do, that say, you know what, freeform, roam around. When you're ready, let me know. There's some games that are kind of like that. Monster Hunter World, I think, is a little like that. Runebound 3rd Edition is kind of like that. Journeys in Middle-earth added a mode to make it easier to do that kind of thing. But that's really where it's, I'm like, yeah, just go, have fun, do your thing. Like, Zia is very much like that. You don't really have a timer per se. You're just kind of bebopping around the universe. I like it. 16, music. I love music with my games. I love listening to music that's thematic to the given game situation. I remember listening to big band music when I was playing the Doolittle Raid or Enemy Coast Ahead. I remember, Star Wars music for Star Wars, etc. Pirates music for Pirate stuff. I love it. I think it's just great. Another thing I like is simultaneous action games. They've really grown on me. I think they solve a lot of problems in the new sort of mindset that the games should be compressed down time-wise more than they ever have been in the past. And simultaneous actions, Border Reavers just proved it even more, that you don't have to have a simplified game to have simultaneous actions. You can have a nice meaty game with simultaneous actions. Border Reavers proved it. Hawaii, I'm a huge fan of that game. It got basically just blasted out of the sky in unfortunately, I feel like pretty unfortunately unnecessarily malicious way, and yet I still take that game out. It's by a designer who's never done a game since. It isn't the world's greatest game, but man, it was fun, and it just evoked the idea of Hawaii. I don't know, there's just not been a game like it. If you ever get a chance to try Hawaii, I think you'll find it pleasant, which is really what I ask for a game, and I have great memories of it. There's some people that are with me that aren't with me anymore that was one of their favorite games, and so that connection itself is also just makes me like the game even more. So anyway, thank you, Greg, for doing Hawaii. I don't care if other people didn't like it. I really did, and I still really do. The other thing is I like near perfect information. I don't like the unknown, as you all know that. I think I mentioned that. I don't like when I don't know what's heading my way. That doesn't make it fun for me because then it becomes a crapshoot, and I like to shoot, but I don't like crap. And so any game that gives you near perfect information, it doesn't have to be all perfect, like, okay, everybody knows everything that's going to happen. Now it's just an optimization puzzle. But if you give me 80% of what I need to know and I can kind of prepare for the rest, I'm a happy man. And finally, I love stickers. I really like stickers. I actually am one of the weirdos that really enjoyed when I got Shadows over Brimstone and realized I needed to put arms and legs and faces and belt buckles on little creatures. I'm like, oh, this is cool, and I did that, and then I played the game, and I liked that. But I love stickers. I don't know why. I just do. There's kind of a nice point. You can just settle down, settle in for the nice winter's nap, hot cup of cocoa, and a sticker, and just be able to put them on. I don't say I do them well, but I do them. But anyway, that's what we have. Let's just, what are things that you can look at and go, you know what? I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of this. I like to stay positive. If I do a negative, I like to at least counterbalance it with something positive. So thanks all of you, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.